seven, six, five, four, three, two, one.
All systems go.
You're listening to Sudbury News Talk.
I want to show you something.
Stand by.
On the morning shift.
Anything
Could happen.
Sudbury News Talk on the morning shift.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Sudbury News Talk on the morning shift. I'm AJ Walsh. Glad to be here with you. Thankful that you're here with us. We got a great show planned for you. As usual, we come at you live on CKLU 96.7 FM in the morning, weekday mornings between 7:30 and 8:30 a.m. is the plan now with technologies and things. It's been between 7:38 and 8:30 every morning. That's what it's kind of shaped up to be. But you know what? We do our best. The main thing is to end on time. So the next shows throughout the day will all be on time. When we start, I guess we have a little bit of leeway, and I think that's why, it kind of goes that way. But glad to be with you nonetheless, and thankful that you're with us as well this morning. We're also streaming live at cklu.ca. Just click on the Radio Player Canada app. And you can stream us. If you download it, you can take us with you and listen to us anywhere, anytime on your favorite device. And so make sure to like, share, subscribe, and follow our social medias, because we're also streaming live on Facebook and YouTube this morning. But mainly comment. We'll do our best to get your comments up on the screen for those watching, read for those listening. And that's that. We got a great show planned for you today. As usual, but a little bit, it's a Mark Carney Marathon. Mark Carney Marathon Monday. Mark Carney Marathon Monday. Everything you need to know about your prime minister, your unelected, currently sitting prime minister, wanting to be your prime minister for a longer period of time, at least 4 years, and wants to have all the powers available to him to be able to enact those. As he said, he wants to enact all the powers of the government, similar to what they did during the trucker convoy, but in this case to anyone else in Canada, not just people involved in the trucker convoy, as we are in an economic crisis, not just an insurrection in Ottawa crisis, a honking insurrection. He wants to invoke all of the powers that he is able to have. And we'll see if he's the kind of guy you want to be able to have that finger on that button in this particular country. So we'll do a deep dive into Mark Carney. It's Mark Carney Marathon Monday on Sudbury News Talk on CKLU 96.7 FM. The shows will be found immediately on demand afterwards on Facebook, on YouTube, on x.com/Sudbury News. So again, make sure to like, share, subscribe, follow the social medias, and we really appreciate you. We got a great little crew on this morning. Weather has been the news for the weekend, right? Because weather is always the news in Northern Ontario. But as we see from the weekend, we had extra weather in terms of freezing rain. We'll talk about that and much more as we come back. Potholes is a story from Sudbury Star. Also, the Sudbury Wolves lost a heartbreaker yesterday in Kingston. And we'll talk a little bit more about that and more when we come back right after the weather. Stay tuned. It's going to be a great show, or your money back. And Sudbury weather brought to you by Voyager Tire. Great people, great products, great prices at the intersection of Kingsway, 2nd Ave, Falcon Bridge. Let them know we sent you to get a 10% discount. Currently it's 5 degrees, minus 5 degrees. It feels like minus 12. There's a light freezing rain still. And today, freezing rain or ice pellets changing to snow and ending late this morning, then cloudy. Snow and ice pellets amount 2 centimeters. Wind will be gusting up to 40 kilometers per hour. High +1 today. Wind chill minus 12 this morning. Tonight, cloudy, clearing near midnight. Wind gusting to 40 kilometers per hour. Low of minus 14. Wind chill minus -8 in the evening and -20 overnight. Tuesday, sunny. Yes, you heard me. Sunny. Wind will be mild. High of -2 in the morning, I believe. But wind chill will be -23 in the morning, sorry. -23 in the morning. Go figure. Cold night tonight. And then -6 in the afternoon will be the high tomorrow. High of -2, but with the wind chill will be -6 in the afternoon. Again, Tuesday, sunny, high of -2. Wednesday, no icon, but snow, -2. 60% chance of rain on Thursday, high of +9. And then sunny and 6 for Friday. I will believe it when I see it. And then a mix of sun and cloud on Saturday, high of +5, +2 and cloudy on Sunday. That's a look at your long range, a look at your satellite taken as of about an hour ago. Clouds everywhere. We know what we got. We can see it out there. Very messy this weekend. Still a chance of freezing rain this morning. So schools are canceled. Everyone, schools are canceled today. So buses are canceled. Schools are canceled. It's a snow day. It is what it is. And so make sure to, if you got a little one, know that buses are canceled today. Schools are canceled today. And trying to be safe. That's your Sudbury weather, brought to you by Voyager Tire. Great people, great products, great prices. Not only, don't just take my word for it. Go visit them. And while you're there, tell them Sudbury News sent you and get a 10% discount. We'll be back with news headlines, your comments, and more right after this. Alrighty, everyone. Thanks for sticking around. That is your Sudbury weather, brought to you by Voyager Tire. I'm telling you, man. I don't just say great people, great products, great prices. They are. If you haven't been there before, you have to experience it. They just go above and beyond. So it's not just saying it for the weather each day. You got to give them. You got to just go in and see for yourself. So currently joining us, we have quite a few people this Monday, a bunch of eager beavers on. So Judy, good morning to you. Nana, good morning, sir. Wow. Blessings, everyone. Heart emoji, exclamation point. Good morning, Nana. Hope you're having a good morning. Marvin. Morning, Marvin. We're having our Mark Carney Marathon Monday today. Hope you're going to enjoy that. Top of the day to yours all, use all. Yeah, you're an early riser out in Alberta for sure. And Hazel, good morning. Prayer sign, much needed, always needed. Thank you for that. And good morning, everyone from Barrie, liked and shared as usual. Estelle, good morning. Heart emoji. Belinda, good morning. It's not about feeling better. It's about better at feeling. Getting better at feeling. We must feel to heal. Double heart emoji. So it's not about feeling better. It's about getting better at feeling. We must feel to heal. Yeah. There's an interesting, now, as you know, the first book I ever read was Black Like Me, the only book I think I've ever read. We went through 1984 in school, in elementary school of all things, right? What a book to read in elementary school, but loved it. Never really read it, but we discussed it and I knew what it was all about. But the only book I actually read in high school was Black Like Me. And then after that, I never read any book until the Bible. And so have read the Bible since, and Old Testament once all the way through, and then piecemeal after that. New Testament many times from cover to cover. And the only reason I'm mentioning that is because Belinda said we need to, it's not about feeling better, it's about getting better at feeling. And there's a scripture in the Bible that talks about our time in our day. They reference it as the last days kind of thing, like of this kind of world that we live in. It's going to change It's going to change, and things are promised, according to the Bible, and I believe it as well, that things are going to get much better for a long period of time. But before they get better, they kind of get worse. And one of the scriptures talking about the times we live in is that people are beyond feeling. They actually don't even feel anymore. They're desensitized to feeling. And it is something that I have noticed, it's through our movies, it's, our culture, everything. We're kind of desensitized to things. We see a lot of killing in movies and stuff, and we, just a lot of things. Our music is pretty harsh. And so it creates this culture of being beyond feeling even. And so we have less empathy for things. And so all that to say, thanks, Melinda, for your comment this morning, because it's very prophetic and something that you can realize and get back to feeling. Because if you're beyond feeling, it's not a good thing. You're missing out on a lot of stuff. And Liette, good morning. Everyone from Collingwood, good morning, brave Northerners. That's Jerome. Thanks for being on. We're going to be talking about Mark Carney today. Mark Carney. It's Mark Carney Marathon Monday, Estelle. Internet was down yesterday, so I'm up early, just had 12 hours sleep. I wish I had a 12 hours sleep. Wow, I think I had 7 hours of solid sleep. So, because when I can sleep, I can't. And when I can't sleep, I can. So, when I got an alarm and I got to get up early, I'm in the deepest sleep you'll ever know. I'm just in such a deep sleep. I could keep sleeping, but I got to get up. But let's say weekend comes and I'm able to sleep in or whatever. I have a terrible sleep and I can't sleep. It's just weird. I don't know if anyone else experiences that, but is what it is. And good morning, Estelle. So Marianne, hoping everyone was safe this weekend. Barrie looks like a tornado went through. Wow. My thoughts are with those all affected. Tornado. Yeah, you guys in Southern Ontario without power for quite a bit of time yesterday. Northern Hillbilly Carrie Carney wants young kids to fight for the king. But first he has to steal the election. Okay. And again, it's Mark Carney Marathon Monday here on Sudbury News Talk. We're going to get to that very shortly as we get through some of the people joining us and some morning shout-outs. Marianne says Barrie and surrounding areas were out of power for almost 24 hours. Some parts of Barrie still have no power. Stay safe, everyone. That's, yeah, for sure. Prayer emoji. Judy, it's not a snow day, it's a PA day. Oh, thank you, Judy, for that. It just so happened that the weather coincided with the PA day, I guess. I don't think they would have had buses today anyways. Well, it's a PA day. Thank you. So I guess all parents already knew that. All schools and daycare are closed in Barrie today, which it's probably not a regular PA day in Barrie, but it is here in Sudbury. And good morning, Mike. Thanks for being on YouTube. Mark Carney Day today, Mark Carney Monday. It's also a PA day, but it's also Mark Carney Marathon Monday. My mini... Okay. Is that a kind of a dog? Dachshund? Sorry. It's early in the morning. Navigating the iced yard is worthy of a position in the Olympic figure skating team. Yes, that would be your dog. Yes, it's interesting. I had to see them outside on the ice. Marvin says April 1st, 2025, no joke rally out of Newfoundland, speaking up and out for what Canada needs to hear. April 1st, no joke rally out of Newfoundland. Look for it. It looks like it's got a great name anyways. No power here since yesterday at 6. That's Nancy. That's right in the valley. That's interesting. So I guess only parts of the valley. Terrible. I'm glad that you have power back now. Definitely, we need to stay safe out there, y'all. And okay, so let's dive right in. Pat's joining us. Good morning, Pat. thanks for being with us. And yeah, if you want to get your skates on, you can head out in your yard, and you already probably have a rink already through Mother Nature and other people, along with Mother Nature, making you an ice rink in your yard. Story coming out of Sudbury Star before I head into our Mark Carney Marathon Monday here on Sudbury News Talk. Potholes are the story of the day. Sudbury accent. So this is there where you can write in your story to letter to the editor type of thing. Sudbury Star. Just a fact of life up here. Pothole. The word alone is enough to send shivers down the backs of most greater Sudbury drivers. Potholes cause headaches for many greater Sudburyans. But when you rely on the road network for income, damage to a vehicle is more than an aggravation. And I myself had a delivery business for many years. I know what this particular person is talking about. Potholes cause headaches for many in greater Sudbury. But when you rely on the road network for income, it's more than an aggravation. I already said that. Mike Saunders, proprietor of Aaron Taxi, recently lost 6 tires to potholes over a single 12-hour period. In 12 hours, he lost 6 tires from his fleet. 6 separate taxis were impacted. That's not unusual, Saunders says. We deal with this every year. It's unfortunate. It's just a fact of life up here. I wish it wasn't. You get those potholes because of bad patch jobs over the years, or too many patch jobs, Sanders says. He loses tires, rims, and components to potholes every day. It happens on Sunday night. It's okay. It's no big deal. You can bring the cars in, get the tow trucks, deal with it. Remember, the tow truck guy could be extremely backed up, and you could spend hours waiting for him. My driver needs to be paid, even though he's not doing anything. So if it happens on a Sunday night, right, it's not that busy. But if it happens on New Year's Day or something, the busiest day of the year. Good morning, Monique. Thanks for being on. And David as well. Good morning. No, I didn't skate in because I'm already in. It's definitely a slippery day out there today. Everybody take precautions. But yeah, so potholes alive and well in Sudbury. And there you have it. A story from one of our businesses, Aaron Taxi. No, it's not my taxi service, although many people have asked me. Sudbury Wolves weekend wrap-up. Pack loses in overtime, heartbreaker, but returns home with confidence. Yes, it was a close game, and we should have had it. We came back from 3-1. Down 3-1 in the second game. We totally lost the first game. We had no business being in that first game. Quentin Musty wasn't there, but Quentin Musty was back for game 2, and we were down 3-1. And Villeneuve scored 2 goals in the third, I believe, to give us the opportunity to head into overtime. And we went to double overtime. Heartbreaker of a goal. Krawchuk definitely. It was either tipped or just a fluky goal, and he kind of stayed in his crease for a long period of time after that goal went in. Terrible. So the Wolves come back to Sudbury down 2-0 in that series. And they have a big hole. Speaking of potholes, they have a big Sudbury pothole to climb out of to get back into that series. The next game is crucial. If they can win the next game, right? They're only down 2-1, but it's harder to come out of a 2-0 pothole than it would be if they came back tied at 1, right? That they should have won that game. They came back. It would have been a great comeback overtime win, but oh no. So get your tickets for the next couple games here in Sudbury. Playoff hockey returns to the Sudbury Arena. Get your tickets. Go to SudburyWolves.com and get your tickets. Avoid the lineups and everything for that. Now, Mark Carney. He is our prime minister now. We did not vote for him. Nobody did. But he is your prime minister. It's just the way our politics work here. And so let's find out a little bit more about Mark Carney. There's so much that I've been gathering. I'm just going to go one thing after another. First of all, he wrote a book. Did you know that? You can read all about what Mark Carney is about in his book. So what the heck is his book? Let's check in and see. So I'm going to have to navigate this
because this
again.
was printed back in 2021, and I'm going to blow your mind. Watch this. So I'm going to zoom into these sections so you can see what I see. In Mark Carney's book, Values, Building a Better World, he says that Western society is morally rotten and that it has been corrupted by capitalism. He claims it requires rigid controls on personal freedom, industry, and corporate funding. Since about 2020, Carney has been front and center in the promotion of a political agenda known as the Great Reset, all predicated on the disruption of the global economy, providing a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to not just regulate climate, but to frame it a more fair, more diverse, and more inclusive, more safe, and more woke world. Carney draws inspiration from, among others, Marx, Engels, and Lenin. But the agenda he promotes differs from Marxism in two key respects. First, the private sector is not to be expropriated, but made a partner in reshaping the economy and society. Second, it does not make a promise to make the lives of ordinary people better, but worse. Carney's Brave New World will be one of severely constrained choice, less flying, less meat, more inconvenience, and more poverty. This is Mark Carney's own words. Assets will be stranded, used gasoline-powered cars will be unsellable, inefficient properties will be unrentable, he promises. But listen to what Carney says. Should sex be up for sale? Carney thunders, following Sandel. Should there be a market in the right to have children? Why not auction the right to opt out of military service? Why shouldn't universities sell admission to raise money for worthy causes? Should there be a right to have children? And there you have it. From his words, not mine, your Prime Minister of Canada.
All right. So now this next video is probably already starting to play if this is the way that... Oh, no. For once, it's not. Okay. So that's Mark Carney number 1, Mark Carney number 2 here. Let's just keep it going. Here's Blender News. Love these guys. They're just on the ball all the time. So that's his book. You can get it. You can read exactly what his plans are for you and for me. You know, he's a global player, right? He's part of the WEF. He sets global policies, and you can read Klaus Schwab's last couple books, The Fourth Industrial Revolution, COVID-19, The Great Reset. They're saying the same stuff. They want you to eat bugs, not meat, kind of thing. You're going to own nothing and be happy. They're going to totally change the way the economy is of the whole world, and you won't be able to have any kind of life similar to the life you're living now. One bit. They're going to limit freedoms. Because we got too much freedom to begin with, right? Like, don't you wake up in the morning and go, you know what? I think I have a little too much freedom. I wish someone would take it away from me. And then they're like, oh, hey, we can do that. And that's what we're going to do. So that's what they're doing. And you'll be happy for it. All right. Here is Blender News.
Mark Carney and the Liberals have put forward an order in council reducing the consumer carbon tax to zero. At first glance, this looks like a policy reversal, but this isn't an admission of failure or a step towards freer markets. Instead, it's a classic bait and switch. Carney isn't eliminating the cost of carbon pricing, he's simply shifting it onto businesses, recycling the same old tired rhetoric about making big polluters pay. The reality of economics is simple. Prices in a market are dynamic. If the Liberal government increases costs for businesses through industrial carbon pricing and climate tariffs, those businesses will do what businesses always do. Pass the cost on to consumers. Carney's move doesn't actually remove the burden from Canadians, it just launders it through corporate balance sheets. Even more absurdly, Carney and the Liberals are simultaneously pushing for a carbon border adjustment mechanism, essentially a carbon tariff on imports from countries that don't impose similar emissions regulations. This means that while the Liberals lose their mind over Trump's tariffs and fear a trade war with the US, they are actively working to slap tariffs on nearly every country in the world that doesn't align with their net zero religion. The hypocrisy is staggering. And let's be clear, this isn't about the environment, it's about control. Just look at Carney's own words.
To reach net zero, every country, every company, every bank, every investor, every pension fund around the world will need to make some big changes. In the run-up to COP26 in Glasgow, we have an enormous opportunity to bring climate change into the heart of every financial decision.
Every financial decision. What does that mean in practice? It means that everything, buying groceries, filling up your gas tank, heating your home, must be evaluated through the lens of carbon compliance. This is the blueprint of a command economy. History is filled with totalitarian regimes that structured their economies around ideological purity rather than economic efficiency. For instance, the Soviet Union dictated that the primacy of the proletariat and the construction of a socialist utopia must be at the heart of every economic decision. The result? Chronic shortages, rationing, and mass repression. The German economy under Nazi rule was centrally controlled under the guise of ensuring every industry served the Aryan state and war machine. The result? A system of coerced production that led to ruin. Net zero is a new justification to create a command economy, but it will function the same as all others throughout history. Net zero subordinates market forces to an ideological goal, in this case carbon neutrality. It requires centralized planning, government-enforced quotas, and forced resource allocation. It justifies economic control through crisis narratives, silences dissent, and punishes non-compliance. The only difference? This time, it's not just a national project, it's global. The UN, WEF, and financial institutions like Carney's Glasgow Financial Alliance for Net Zero are dictating policies that override national sovereignty and impose a global economic restructuring. Compliance isn't optional. Businesses that don't conform are financially blacklisted, taxed into oblivion, or simply legislated out of existence. This isn't just bad policy, it's economic authoritarianism, and Carney's sleight of hand with the carbon tax proves that the Liberals are playing a rigged game. They pretend to retreat while ensuring their agenda marches forward. The same people who imposed these ruinous policies in the first place are now campaigning on their removal, hoping Canadians will let them dictate the next phase of our economic future.
I was sickened. I was sickened by the standing ovation. I felt like Hollywood is just spineless, en masse.
There you go, good.
And,
so the next video just starts
playing. It
playing.
really felt like, oh, this is a really clear indication that we're not the cool club anymore.
What if one of the wildest minds in Hollywood just dropped
everyone's probably intrigued by that now. But no, that's not the video I intended to play. I just didn't realize the other one was over, and then Facebook wants to play the next video. So again, there's video number 2, Mark Carney. Are there any conflicts of interest with Mark Carney because of his, his job, his jobs? The guy's involved in everything under the sun, right?
Hey everyone, Michelle Freer here, Member of Parliament for Peterborough Kawartha, and the plot thickens with the conflict of interests. And how much is your publicly unelected Prime Minister Mark Carney worth? So just for context, for people who don't know, Brookfield is a company that is valued at $1 trillion. And this is a company that Mark Carney was the chair of. And so the question has been asked to the now publicly unelected Prime Minister how much his assets are worth, and also to disclose this because it could be a significant conflict of interest. And just for context, so everybody's aware in terms of what Brookfield actually does, some of the things that they oversee are nuclear energy, carbon capture and storage, wind turbines, natural gas, heat pumps, battery energy storage, real estate projects, green hydrogen, Canadian pension funds, income tax laws, real estate. So obviously these could have massive conflicts of interest if Mark Carney holds shares or assets in this company and he can directly benefit from the decisions he makes as the Prime Minister of Canada, yet he refuses to disclose this information. And yesterday we saw who Mark Carney truly is when he was confronted by reporters, and credit where credit is due. Rosemary Barton from the CBC, she's not usually one to do this. And you can see, even she went at Mark Carney yesterday and said,
"There's no possible conflict of interest in your assets. It's very difficult to believe."
Look inside yourself, Rosemary. I mean, you start from a prior of conflict and ill will.
look inside yourself, Rosemary. Look inside yourself. This is a man who doesn't like to be questioned because clearly he has never been questioned before. And when you bring back footage, Pierre Poilievre has had the opportunity to question Mark Carney multiple times in committee. And there's a little clip here. Take a look.
Do you support the Prime Minister's decision to veto the Northern Gateway pipeline, Mr. Carney?
I understand the veto of the Northern Gateway pipeline.
Do you support it?
Given both environmental and commercial reasons.
Do you support it?
I think it was sensible. I wasn't involved in the decision, but I think it was the right decision.
And yet your company has invested billions of dollars in oil companies in both Brazil and the UAE to buy pipelines. You bought billions of dollars of pipelines as a company in the last 5 years. Do you support those investments?
Mr. Poilievre, there is a global energy system, and one of the issues, I'm trying to explain a bit of how the economy works. One of the
Thank
issues,
you so much. What you're saying is you oppose pipelines in Canada, but you support them in the UAE and in Brazil. That's what you've actually said.
So what you see in that clip right there is that Mark Carney had a vested interest to ensure that Canadian energy stays in the ground while his company and his private assets benefit from ensuring that Canadian energy is flourishing outside of Canada. So his interests are outside of Canada, not inside Canada. And this man has to come clean with what he has and how it is intersecting with his conflicts of interest. He is not just some man. He is the Prime Minister of Canada. And if those decisions directly impact his personal wealth, that is a massive conflict of interest, and he needs to be transparent about it. The other thing is this blind trust nonsense. What is a blind trust? Who is overseeing his blind trust? A blind trust simply means that you take your assets and all your finances and you give them to somebody to oversee them, and you don't have anything to do with it. So who are you going to have in charge that you know nothing about? A blind trust is a total cop-out. It doesn't even protect anything. So these questions need to be answered. Do not stop asking these questions. You cannot have a man in charge of your finances, of your money, when he can personally profit from your money.
Right? Or no? Some points there anyways to consider if you're wondering who to vote for. We're just trying to give you the most information that you can have so that way you can make an informed decision. Here's the former Prime Minister of Great Britain, and speaking of her feelings, because Mark Carney was the governor of the Bank of England when she was Prime Minister, right? So, we'll see how, he gets all the credit that he's the savior of the banks and things like that. So let's see what she has to say about Mark Carney.
I think it is extraordinary that Mark Carney has become the Prime Minister of Canada. He did a terrible job in Britain of the governorship of the Bank of England. He created a lot of the problems that blew up on my watch and that I got blamed for were actually created by him. He backed Labour in the election and Rachel Reeves's policies, which are leading the country to bankruptcy. So why on earth the Liberal Party of Canada has selected this man, I have no idea. And I think it is illegitimate that this guy has never been elected as a member of Parliament in Canada. I'm utterly puzzled, and the Canadians. I'm not going to tell the Canadians how to vote. Obviously, I want the Conservatives to be elected in Canada, but I think it's Justin Trudeau has pursued a lot of the same policies that Europe has been pursuing. And America has raced ahead of us. Back at the turn of the millennium, the average Brit was catching up with the average American in terms of income per head.
Wow.
We are now $34,000 a year behind. We are poorer than Mississippi, which is the poorest American state. And the same is true. The same is true of France and Germany, and to some extent of Canada, because they pursued all of these woke policies. High taxes, high spending, not using their natural resources. And Justin Trudeau was the architect of that. And of course, Mark Carney has been the advocate of these policies. So I don't know what is going on in Canada, but in the same way as I think people in Britain need to wake up to what the real threat to our country is, I think they need to wake up in Canada. I think it is extraordinary that Mark Carney has become the Prime Minister of Canada. He did a terrible job in Britain.
So you can see what the former Prime Minister of Great Britain feels about Mark Carney right there. So again, just trying to get different people's points of view, not just one person's point of view. And I apologize for these videos that just play on their own right after we're done playing certain ones. But yeah, so this is a news story from 2022 even. Okay, this is now, but let's go back even before. Let's look at, here's Tucker Carlson talking about Mark Carney when as far back as when he was on Fox News still, before he left there or was fired from Fox because he wouldn't stop talking about certain things, right? So it's from a while ago, 2022.
His friend Mark Carney has been speaking for him. Carney is a former Goldman Sachs executive who many believe will replace Justin Trudeau if Trudeau ever decides to give up power. In a recent op-ed, Mark Carney vented his rage at the impudent truckers in Ottawa and anyone who sent them money on the internet. Quote, "Anyone sending money to the convoy should be in no doubt," Carney wrote. "You are funding sedition. Foreign funders of an insurrection interfered in our domestic affairs from the start." Got that? It's not a protest. It's sedition. It's an insurrection. Clearly, Mark Carney's been watching a lot of CNN up there in Canada. And that's why he's concluded that truckers should be crushed by force. Quote, "Those who are still helping to extend this occupation must be identified and punished to the full force of the law. People who sent them money should be prosecuted. If they're not prosecuted," Mark Carney fears, quote, "the constant blaring of horns at all hours will bankrupt our businesses." Are you laughing yet? So the very same finance ghouls who cheered lockdowns for 2 solid years are now deeply concerned that small businesses might be hurt by the trucker protests. Hilarious. It'd be interesting, by the way, to poll small business owners in Ottawa to see what they think. How do they feel about the truckers? Somehow you know exactly what those results would be, but no one's doing that poll, of course. Instead, they found an easier way. Justin Trudeau has just ordered police to shut the whole thing down. How do you do that? How do you stop a truck protest? Simple. You seize their fuel. That's exactly what police in Canada are doing.
Yeah, I'm just trying to stop these videos before they end or whatever. So, yeah, there you go. So that's, did you notice how he said many believe will be, if Justin Trudeau ever steps down, that he'll be the replacement? So even 2 years ago, 3 years ago now, 3 years ago, it was known that Mark Carney was going to be the guy to kind of take over, right? But, so they were always asking Mark Carney, what do you think? Do you think you could do better now kind of thing? So, and here's our good old PBS guy who has strong ties with Sudbury, right?
You have done
so this is Steve Paikin, I believe you pronounce his name. And he's on TV Ontario. I might have said PBS. TV Ontario, right? So he's interviewing Mark Carney here. It's interesting to see what he says.
You can't do what you have done in your life, and you can't be who you have been in your life, and then put 600 pages of policy on the record and started your own Twitter account, for goodness sakes. I mean, who the heck does that without people thinking this guy's about to launch himself into politics? So maybe we should put the question this way. I think you're going to get in someday. Can you think of any reason why you wouldn't?
Somebody else will do it better. That's a good reason.
Okay, so from Mark Carney's words alone, somebody else will do it better. That's his reason, right? Okay, so Mark Carney himself isn't endorsing Mark Carney. Someone else would do better than Mark Carney. So that's that in a nutshell, right? And then this is really interesting. So we know that Mark Carney and President Trump just had a phone conversation, and a lot of us are really surprised about that phone conversation. And all of a sudden, Trump seems like he's buddy with Mark Carney. And where did that come from? Like, Why is he calling him Canada's next prime minister and Mr. Carney with all this respect and stuff like that? I thought, what happened to the 51st state and the governor of Canada and all this stuff, right? So why is he treating Mark Carney with such respect when he totally had zero respect for Justin Trudeau? And really, they're the same person, really, right? So why all of a sudden such great respect for Mark Carney?
This is insane. I just found out why Mark Carney was endorsed by Donald Trump. Watch this. This is in French. It just came out today, and this is using the Google Translate. Mark Carney has several cards up his sleeve to face Donald Trump due to his past role in Brookfield, which has helped the Americans' president's clan. The firm, when it was chaired by Mark Carney, paid back Donald Trump's son-in-law by saving his company from serious financial difficulties. The deal dates back to 2018 when Brookfield signed a 99-year lease to rent the entirety of a 41-story building owned by the Kushner family in the heart of Manhattan. The total cost $1.1 billion. The Canadian company paid the 99 years of rent all at once instead of paying it annually. This highly unusual move ensured a massive and rapid cash flow inflow for the Kushner company, which was due to repay $1.2 billion in a mortgage repayment in payments in just a few months later. In February 2019, Brookfield is a sprawling Canadian investment firm. Mark Carney chaired the board of directors until January 15 and still holds significant financial interest in the company. And sorry, I want to correct myself. Mark Carney was the chairman when the Senate Finance Committee began the investigation of the infamous $1.1 billion check. During his tenure at Brookfield, he twice refused to provide the information requested by senators. This was said by Senator Ron Wyden, the committee chairman, in a 2022 letter to the firm reviewed by our Office of Investigation. Unbelievable. The Senate Finance Committee was trying to understand the links between Brookfield and Qatar since the transaction was made by Brookfield Property Partners, BPY, a branch of the firm whose largest investors are the sovereign wealth fund of this Gulf monarchy. Although, according to Reuters, the Qataris have never exercised this right, suspicions of conflicts of interest and interference are strong, as Jared Kushner was President Trump's Middle East advisor between 2018 and 2021. In an attempt to clarify the situation, Senator Wyden first sent a letter requesting the information from Brookfield in December 2020. 2 years later, in October 2022, having received no satisfactory response, he again called the company to cooperate. This is why Donald Trump endorsed him. This is why he would prefer the Liberals to be in power. Mark Carney scratched his son-in-law's back to the tune of $1.1 billion. Mark Carney did not disclose any of this. Mark Carney has significant financial interest in Brookfield today. Millions and millions of dollars in stock options, and he refuses to tell us what conflicts of interest he has. It makes complete sense now why Donald Trump referred to him as Prime Minister Mark Carney when he tweeted out that he spoke with him and that he would speak to him after the election. Do you not see this? This is insane. And here's the craziest part. If the roles were reversed and Pierre Poilievre had this sort of relationship where he authorized over $1 billion to Trump's, basically his family and his son-in-law, you don't think the main news outlets, our Main Street media in Canada, would not be all over this? This is absolutely massive news. Carney is in bed with Donald Trump.
There you go, right? So I bet you never knew that. Or if you did, you knew it before I did. So again, he reverses it again and says, if Pierre Poilievre gave 1 point something billion dollars to Trump and Trump was endorsing him, people would be all over that and saying, look at, is this right? No, just reverse it. Just reverse it for a second. You know what I mean? And the media, bless their hearts and their souls, the mainstream media, and they kind of still have to ask him these questions, right? Because they can't be totally known to be ignoring any of this stuff. So they kind of have to, like Rosemary Barton from CBC asked him, now, are you sure there's no conflict of interest kind of thing? I'm giving you an opportunity to at least give me a lie that I'll keep saying to everyone after you give me the lie. Just give me something here. Give me something I got to say. So just give me a lie, and then I'll say that continuously on the news that that's the reason why, but you can't even give me that, Mark Carney. You can't even lie to me about stuff. Are you sure there's no conflicts of interest between you being the Prime Minister of Canada with all your private interests and things? Like you're totally in this Brookfield company that's worth over $1 trillion. You're investing in energy. And then you're going to be the head of a country which has some of the largest energy resources in the world. So there is a huge conflict of interest, all caps, conflict of interest, all caps, with this particular gentleman named Mark Carney. Huge conflicts of interest. He should not be a politician. He is not. In his own words, he says, don't trust a central banker for political advice. Don't trust a central banker for political advice. And that's just a central banker. And then he has his own investments as well through Brookfield Investments, and they invest in energy all over the world, and they stand everything to gain by keeping our oil in the ground and promoting oil in other countries. He makes money off that. So you can't have a prime minister who's able to make policies in a country to keep the energy in the ground so that way you make more money for you and your investors. You just can't. That is called, if you could ever do a case study of what a conflict of interest is, that would be it. That would be it. It would be studied by people for generations to come as what a political conflict of interest would be with someone in the private sector, hands down, right? That's all the time we got for the show, unfortunately. So I hope you enjoyed our Mark Carney Madness Marathon Monday, all about Mark Carney. And hopefully you have a little bit more information on this particular newcomer, this unknown, this outlier insider, this multi-billionaire with his ability to access trillions of dollars in the world, who writes policy for world organizations, not just national, and influences banking systems in Canada and in Great Britain, which we've heard how people thought that went, not just the media. The former Prime Minister of England, right? How did she feel? She felt like she got the bad rap for his policies, kind of thing. You're supposed to be working along with these central bankers. So I hope to somebody listening out there in Radioland that this particular show of, the Mark Carney Madness Marathon Monday helps you in some way understand who this particular man is. And if you feel you could vote for somebody like that, and if so, you're going to get more of the same. If not more, you're going to get more with an exponential number with it of what we've had over the last 10 years. You're going to get it in just doses. So if you like the way the economy's gone, you like the way our downtowns have been, you like the way our the opioid situation has been, and our drug situation, our healthcare system, education system, financial system, if you love all of that and you love the affordability and you love the prices at the grocery store and gas prices, then you're going to vote for Mark Carney because you're going to get that and even more of it. So there you go. And that's him. And that's the show for today. And I really appreciate everybody for being on, for joining us. And hope everyone has a safe day today, as we've had some very, very interesting weather. And it's still interesting this morning. So take care. If you got to drive according to the conditions and take the precautions you need to. So remember to continue to stay aware, like, share, take care. We'll see you next time on the same platforms, God willing, tomorrow. Stay tuned now for Earshot Daily on CKLU 96.7 FM. So stay safe, everyone. Ciao for now. Have a great day.
This is Sudbury News Talk on the morning shift.